week's drive, we get past any which way we can. Glide along with the cream of the crop. Become tired and emotional right beside the track. And deal with caravans as only the English know how. All this and more in this week's Drive. The Indy Racing League went to Japan on a grey and hazy day for the third event in this year's 16-race series. It's the only race held outside of America. Led by Dan Weldon, cars with Honda engines started from the top 5 spots on the grid. The manufacturer has never won in 6 attempts at Motegi, 1 in the IRL and 5 in kart. Weldon, driving the number 26 Dallara, started from pole position and led all but 6 of the 200 laps. The yellow flag flew when the number 6 Team Penske car, driven by Sam Hornish Jr., who won the season-opening Toyota Indy 300, hit the wall on lap 88. Kosuke Mataura's number 55 Panos made contact with Hornish's left front wheel, causing the crash. Hornish is a master at the difficult art of the high groove, or passing on the outside high on the banking, where many drivers seldom venture, and many don't expect a passing move. But this time, he got sucked into the lower car's slipstream, and it was a one-way ride into the wall. In the end, it was Weldon from Emberton in Northamptonshire in England who took the checkered flag. Rookie of the year last season, he also set the fastest lap of 201.165 miles an hour. 25-year-old Weldon has finished in the top 10 in 9 consecutive IndyCar events. After the race, he responded to a question about a potential future in Formula One with derision. There is no championship in the world that you can compete in, knowing that probably 10 to 15 cars can actually win the race. To win it is so difficult, but it makes it so rewarding when you do. I mean, I just love being part of it, the Englishman said.
Crowd's loving it. Honda, Toyota. Oh, yeah.
Tony Kanaan in the number 11 car celebrated his second place for Honda with some theatrics on the track. Helio Castroneves, driving a Dallara Toyota, finished third from Darren Manning and Scott Dixon. Most teams loaded up their spare equipment before the race, and the cars were on their pallets 90 minutes after the race for the trip back to the US. Teams needed to prepare for an open test of the new 3-litre engines at Indianapolis. Augusto Farfus Jr., stripped of his maiden win in Monza following a technical infringement, was on pole for the first race of round 2 of the European touring car season in Spain. The Brazilian rookie driver claimed pole position at a blustery Valencia ahead of his Alfa Romeo teammates Gabriele Tarquini and Fabrizio Giovanardi. The weight advantage of the Alfas told early on as they pulled away from the BMWs. Englishman Andy Priaulx qualified 4th in the first BMW. From back in the pack, Dirk Muller had a good view of the race, just not the one he wanted. On lap 3, Giovanardi took the lead and defending champion Tarquini moved to the front on lap 7 without too much resistance from his teammate. Tarquini went on to take the checkered flag for his second win of the season. As is usual in European touring cars, the first 8 cars began the second race in reverse order. Salvatore Tavano started race 2 on pole, but was not there for long as the BMWs eased past him. Antonio Garcia's BMW grabbed the lead with Andy Priaulx and brothers Dirk and Jörg Muller behind him. The Alfa Romeo again used their superior speed to cut through the field, Giovanardi claiming second place with this move on the grass, bringing Tarquini with him. The pair of Alfas then sliced past Garcia's BMW to return to the head of the pack. Farfus had seemed to get left behind until he dived down the inside to past Priaulx, who had a clear view of the Brazilian's aggressive style and the Alfa's speed, as the team headed to another 1-2-3 perfect finish. However, with Alfa certain to receive a hefty weight penalty from this dominant display, things should be closer at Magny-Cours in France for round 3. Owners of 4x4s are increasingly finding that they have no idea how to use their very capable new toys. So Land Rover have established a training regime for owners and dealers to demonstrate what their cars can do and to teach proper, responsible and safe operating techniques.
Land Rover Experience does two things. Firstly, it helps educate our customers in how to get the best out of their product, understanding the new details and features, and how to behave responsibly off-road when driving over grass and farmers' fields, for example. We explain what we're about, which is releasing the spirit of adventure in owners of a current product and teaching them how to use those vehicles for holidays and their outdoor pursuits.
It may look pretty tame from the outside, but from inside it's steep, high and scary. Land Rover used the recent outdoor show in Birmingham to showcase their vehicles. It was a chance for new buyers to see firsthand how the car coped with different terrains and for potential owners to get an idea of just how much has been added by technology, such as descent control. Because true off-road driving in Europe is now largely restricted to specially set-aside areas which can get fairly busy, it's important for novice off-roaders to have a good grasp of the do's and don'ts before venturing out for the first time. This building dominates the skyline of Munich. It's called, imaginatively, the Four-Cylinder, and the big teacup structure next to it is a museum in which visitors spiral up through the last 80-odd years of BMW's history. Across the road are some of the buildings originally used in the 1972 Munich Olympic Games. Inside are the people who create a wide range of cars and motorcycles which combine performance, quality, safety, longevity, style and value for money. Interestingly, the designers use some distinctly old-fashioned tools to help visualize how the next generation vehicles may look. In fact, these sketches are probably 6 or 7 years ahead of a decision to go into production. And in an industry where espionage has become an art form, it's probably safe to say that if you've seen it here, it won't be going much further. Although the computer graphics are of the just-released Mini Cabrio. Pre-production cars are put through a vast array of tests to verify designs. This test rig can be programmed to simulate a variety of test tracks without the need to leave the building, and there's no chance of driver fatigue or error as systems are tested, sometimes to destruction. The future of automotive fuel is hydrogen, a fuel that can be produced using water and sunlight and emits only water. When the car is running, only water vapor comes out the exhaust. If this hydrogen-powered engine is put into mass production, it would put an end to toxic automobile emissions and the consumption of non-renewable resources. And best of all for car enthusiasts, there's no sacrifice of engine performance either. To work in a car, hydrogen must be compressed to liquid form, and this is done by chilling the gas. Since the car's tank doesn't refrigerate the hydrogen, some evaporates, but because it's 14 times lighter than air, it dissipates harmlessly. BMW's goal is to produce hydrogen for its vehicles by the electrolysis of water, by splitting water into hydrogen and oxygen with electrical current. It might not be what you'd expect from a sporty car maker, but the new 3 Series Touring or wagon is 100% BMW. It offers sports performance with practicality and room to move. Think of it as a sporting car with a very big boot. The 330ci is the third 3 Series soft top model since 1985 and the latest and most elegant member of the 3 Series family. It has an even more rigid chassis than the previous coupe, giving low noise and vibration levels and sports car-like handling. The high-performance straight 6-cylinder engine delivers sparkling performance whenever it's needed. Automatically activated roll bars in the rear headrests and up to 6 airbags offer high levels of passenger safety in a full 4-seater convertible. As a top-drawer model, it comes fully loaded with high-tech features. The latest 5 Series has gained a 5-door brother that comes with a choice of 4 engines, including a diesel. Standard details are the 6-speed gearbox, climate control, 8 airbags, tyre pressure warning, a separately opening rear window, and self-leveling air suspension. Options include active steering, adaptive headlights, run-flat tyres, and a head-up display which projects driver information onto the windscreen above the steering wheel, so the driver doesn't need to look down at the dials. If the 3 Series is a sports car with a big boot, this is even more so. The 645ci convertible is the new lifestyle flagship with performance guaranteed by a V8 engine and 6-speed box. Unique to this convertible, the rear window can be lowered independent of the roof, along with the side windows to provide wind-in-the-hair motoring without exposing scalps to the midday sun. Or left in position, the rear screen works like a wind blocker when the roof is lowered. With the roof down, boot capacity is sufficient for a medium-sized suitcase and 2 full-sized golf bags. The 7 Series is a statement of success and wealth, boasting powerful and frugal 3.6 and 4.4-litre V8 engines, electronic suspension, and advanced features such as iDrive, which controls more than 700 electronic tasks. The industry-leading 7, with 75 new features, is the car for industry leaders. Following the success of the X5, their first venture into sports utility vehicles, there's now an X3, although it's not much smaller. The X3's wheelbase is an inch less than the X5's, and the X3's black plastic bumpers are only 4 inches closer together. The width and height differences are minor too, and the X3 offers more rear seat headroom and legroom. Of course, BMW have also built motorcycles for over 80 years. The new 1200cc Montauk is a variation on their laziest model, a cruiser that is all about life in the slow lane, seeing and being seen, and making the ride part of the journey instead of just the bit before reaching the destination. The bike's flat twin engine is equipped with modern 4-valve technology, digital engine control and dual ignition to meet the toughest emission requirements. Like all big BMWs, it has shaft final drive and ABS brakes too. And then there's the new R1200 GS. BMW just about invented the big all-terrain touring category 25 years ago with the R80 GS, and thousands of people have used these bikes to ride around the block, around the country, or around the world. Developed in the early Paris-Dakar rallies, the flat twin shaft drive GS has evolved from an 800 into a 1200 with an enviable record for rugged reliability, comfort and handling, on the road or off it. The latest version of the GS is smaller, lighter, more nimble and more powerful, and somewhere there's one with my name on it. The MotoGP World Championship kicked off at the Fakisa Raceway in Welkom in the South African goldfields, where the pan-continental paddock pulsated with the excitement of a new season. On a bright autumn day, the teams made preparations for the first race as the riders attended safety briefings, equipment inspections and pre-race interviews and photo sessions. Later in the afternoon, Alex Barros helped MotoGP newcomer Neil Hodgson make the most of his first visit to Welkom on a trip to the Tabong Art and Cultural Centre. The pair were joined by Manuel Poggiali and were treated to a dance show including Zulu, Tswana and Xhosa tribal routines and the traditional Monyonyako song. Poggiali will be hoping to carry the rhythm to the racetrack as he looks to repeat a hard-earned 250cc victory at this track a year ago. The 28-lap MotoGP race would answer many questions, with Valentino Rossi's switch from Honda to Yamaha opening up new possibilities for the 23-man field. The Italian admitted that after intense pre-season testing, he was looking forward to the first race.
Yes, for sure. Everybody wait for the first race, especially us, because for me, for Yamaha and for the team is a new adventure. We make many kilometers during the winter, but you know, the race is always different. So we need to start now. Need to understand if we are able to fix the bike in only 4 hours of practice, and after waiting for the race.
All eyes will be on the 25-year-old 5-time world champion who showed blistering pace in testing on his Yamaha M1. Other frontrunners include Sete Gibernau and Max Biaggi, second and third in last year's title, both of whom have won in Welkom, and their teammates Colin Edwards and Makoto Tamada. Brazilian Alex Barros and American Nicky Hayden make up the balance of Honda's challenge. Barros is back from Yamaha after an injury-hit season. Hayden finished 5th in his debut year. Once final qualifying got underway, Rossi repaid the faith of his new team by taking pole position. Valentino defied the critics, the pessimists, and even himself with his performance. He'd earlier said that he doubted his new bike would be competitive early in the year. Sete Gibernau's last lap effort wasn't enough for pole, but it moved him to second on the grid, just 0.035 of a second behind Rossi, as he tried to repeat his victory of the circuit last year. Rossi had also grabbed a provisional pole in unofficial practice the day before. 4 times world 250 champion Max Biaggi was third fastest to take the final place on the new style 3 across grid. Rossi's teammate last year, American Nicky Hayden, was 4th fastest. Texan former world superbike champion Colin Edwards, in his 2nd year in MotoGP after a season on the underperforming Aprilia Cube, was 5th fastest. Japanese rider Shinya Nakano, who has so far enjoyed an outstanding debut with Kawasaki, provided them with their highest ever MotoGP grid position of 6th as he lined up for his first race for the team. Ducati rider Ruben Zaus, another MotoGP rookie fresh from World Superbikes, wasn't hurt in this simple slide. Nakano's Kawasaki teammate Alex Hoffman was another rider to road test his leathers during time practice, although his bike seemed keen to finish the lap without him. Despite crashing, Hoffman would start 13th, Zaus 16th. Biggest loser was Ducati's Troy Bayliss, 3.2 seconds off the pace.
We restart from the same point of the last year, and I am very, very happy. We make a great job. Try during the winter this new challenge, and is a great bet for everybody. But I stay very well. I have great confidence for the new adventure, and now we are in front of everybody. I'm very, very happy. This pole position is like 10 normal pole position. But the race is tomorrow. We know is difficult, but anyway, we are in a good position. Thanks.
Pre-season favourite Randy Depunier stamped his authority in the 250cc class with a new pole record of 1 minute 35.3 seconds and pole position for the 7th time in his career. Sebastian Porto was his closest rival, lapping within 0.079 seconds of his fellow Aprilia rider and briefly holding provisional pole position. Manuel Poggiali and Dani Pedrosa, reigning 250 and 125 world champions respectively, start 3rd and 4th. Andrea Dovizioso claimed the upper hand in the final qualifying session for the 125cc race, taking pole position in a time of 1 minute 40.9 seconds. Roberto Locatelli had been fastest in 3 previous sessions, but couldn't match Dovizioso despite lapping within a 1/10 of a second. Mirko Giansanti made it 3 Italians in the top 3 with a surprise late lap. Valentino Rossi led away from the start of Africa's Grand Prix, but relinquished the lead twice during a desperate battle with arch-rival Max Biaggi on his Honda. Biaggi took the lead briefly during the 7th and 21st laps, but Rossi hit back quickly to become the first man to win twice in the Premier Division, the 4.2-kilometre Fakisa circuit. The 2 riders broke clear of the rest of the field from the beginning, with only the man who eventually filled 3rd place, Sergei Gibernau, able to stay with them during the first few laps. Biaggi's Honda looked to have the legs of the Yamaha in a straight line, but it was in the final few right-handers before the start-finish line which gave Biaggi trouble. And on the 2nd last lap, Rossi swept ahead again and held on for a historic win by a narrow 0.21 of a second. Gibernau was a lonely 3rd, 7 seconds behind, with Barros 4th. Rossi becomes the first rider in the Premier class since the late Barry Sheene to win the opening race of the season for 4 years in succession. It was also a record 23rd consecutive podium finish for the world champion. The significance was not lost on the mercurial Rossi. After crossing the line, he parked his bike and sat briefly before hugging the Yamaha M1, which carried him to the historic win. His victory in the season opener on the previously underrated Yamaha elevated him into the history books as the first rider to win back-to-back races with 2 different manufacturers.
Yes, it's difficult to explain all in this moment, but anyway, about the race, about this weekend, maybe I make one of the best weekend of my career. I ride very well all the 3 days, and after the race was very, very good. It's a great show, a great battle with Max. Make all perfect, great start, good rhythm, and at the end I try make some good overtaking, and so it's good for everybody. And thanks to all, especially to my team, to my mechanics that come with me, also to Yamaha, make a fantastic job, and thanks to everybody.
It was Yamaha's first Grand Prix win since Malaysia in 2002, as Rossi sets off in pursuit of the Japanese team's first world title since Wayne Rainey won the championship back in 1992. Last year's 125cc world champion Daniel Pedrosa of Spain snatched a dramatic last-lap victory from under the nose of France's Randy Depunier in the 26-lap 250cc race. 18-year-old Pedrosa broke both ankles in practice for the Australian Grand Prix last year, but he showed real daring in rattling Depunier in a series of passing moves during a thrilling last lap. Sebastian Porto carved through the field, having run off the track while in the lead with tyre problems. He rejoined in 22nd and last position, but charged up to finish third, 5.8 seconds behind Depunier. Manuel Poggiali was a distant and lonely fourth. Andrea Dovizioso of Italy won his first 125cc race when he steered his Honda to defeat 2000 world champion Roberto Locatelli with a daring passing move on the final lap of their 24-lap race. 18-year-old Dovizioso was racing in his 34th race, while 29-year-old countryman Locatelli was in his 132nd on the Aprilia. Australian teenager Casey Stoner gave KTM their best result ever, finishing third, having led the race briefly. He slipstreamed past Pablo Nieto on the last lap, putting the Spaniard back to fourth. The next round is at Jerez in Spain, where all the teams have conducted off-season testing. The Easter weekend in England is often remembered by road users as a long traffic jam behind a caravan, but for hundreds who gathered at an oval circuit, it was payback time, watching a caravan demolition derby at the 4th British Caravan Grand Prix.
You follow caravans every year, don't you? Especially this time of year. It's just a sort of one-off meeting we do every year. Just good fun. It's just a different, just change from racing cars all the time. We do vans as well and things like that, but caravans are good because they just make such a mess.
It's not an obvious form of motorsport, but for a dedicated band of British banger racers, it's the latest in a fun day out on the track. A caravan demolition derby. The defending champion admits that there's little skill involved.
Basically, you just put your harness on, take your brains out, put your foot down, and just go.
The race is over 10 laps, and to win the title, a driver must end the race still towing a caravan, or its remains. The first couple of laps provided the main demolition mayhem as the recognisable structures of the caravans soon disappeared, leaving the cars towing just the metal frames. The event gets more sophisticated every year, and onboard cameras were introduced for the first time this year. The growing reputation of this kamikaze challenge and the good weather drew a record crowd to the event. It seems you don't need to have a caravan to get picked on. But eventually it was all over, and in the silence, Phil Broadfast, a 30-year-old mechanic from East London and a rookie driver in this event, was delighted and amazed when he survived the carnage and emerged the winner.
I'm over the moon. This is the first major trophy that this is the first time I've ever actually won a race, and it happened to be this particular race.
And he had the pleasure of knowing that he demolished a vehicle which most drivers love to hate when they're stuck behind them out on the road. So, whether you're in the market for a smart new roadster, learning how to get up and over, or just road testing your leathers, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.